You'll have to hit me up and tell me what
Keith, man, you gotta start watching My Hero Academia, man, and Baruko and Naruto and Last Avatar.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Heroes Peak podcast, the first full podcast since the good news, and that's the launch of Mandalorian season 2 is what I'm talking about.
I thought you were about to say since James's terrible attempts at hosting in your absence.
The last time you saw me, I was finishing off my beer and not feeling very well. So here I am back hosting, and I'm feeling a lot better. Thank you very much. And I'm here with my wonderful co-hosts. We'll start with you, James. How you feeling, James?
Back where I need to be, not hosting this show. Thank you.
James is coming to us live from the Four Seasons. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, the Four Seasons. This is the complimentary breakfast lounge.
The business center.
The business center. Thank you. That's what I was thinking of.
I heard you can rent a movie next door.
Yeah, you can. TVMA though.
And when you're done, everything's over, and the other direction is a crematorium.
Yeah, when you're done.
When you're finished.
Like
now. Final boss.
All right, and then of course we got Keith. How you doing, Keith?
What's going on, gang?
Keith, are you still black and mattering? A subscriber wants to know.
Oh, of course. That's without question. I can't even wash it off.
and Brooks, how you doing, Brooks?
Great. I'm also really happy that James is done hosting.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah, we're starting off that way. And then finally we have Mike still coming at us from Canada. Has not moved back yet, even with the exciting news.
Yeah, let me say, everyone in Canada looking at the downstairs neighbor and finally going, thank God they got the eviction notice. And the new neighbors will be moving in soon.
We'll see.
We can finally get some sleep up here.
There's been some iffiness about getting the current resident out.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of Canada, shout out to Alex Trebek. I don't know if that's part of our agenda.
I was just that was part
I'm sorry.
of it. No, that's all right. No, we're not going to do a long one. Just a quick rip to Alex Trebek. I watched him. I mean, I think we've all watched him for decades.
Yeah. I got to pull up some SNL. Will Ferrell. Chris ain't gonna like it, but
strategery.
No, the Will Ferrell stuff. The SNL stuff works.
Yeah.
Are you gonna?
Yes, Brooks. Will Ferrell did have some funny moments on a Jeopardy show on SNL.
I hate Will Ferrell.
The dude who plays Sean Connery, though, he was the Daryl Hammond, and Sean Connery was the best.
The Sean Connery bit is one of my favorite SNL bits.
Yeah.
I know, but I think that show to me, I remember when it first came in 84, 85, I'd come home from school and I'm a nerd, whatever. I'd put it on and be like enthralled about the questions. 2/3 of it I had no clue what the hell they were talking about.
But travels.
Still fun.
Yeah, I think someone mentioned how, the loss. Right now, there seems to be a lot of anti-intellectualism going about, and
good observation.
The loss of that, a show like that was really all about that, bringing knowledge and being about knowledge, and still being such a popular show.
Just look at right now your TV programming, Masked Singer. It's nothing compared to Jeopardy at all.
No, it's all talent shows right now. Talent and kicking people off and.
I think the closest thing we had like Weakest Link for a while.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire came back.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, good point.
Back. And wait, is that the one with the
Well, right now we're watching one with Jane Lynch.
There's one that just
hosting
came back. Who there was a woman, an older woman.
the
hosting
Weakest
it.
Link.
The Weakest Link.
Yeah.
That one too.
Yeah.
That one just came back.
Yeah, they relaunched that with Jane Lynch as the host, and that's fun. But again, that's more pop culture reference.
That's nowhere near the
Yeah, it's not
Jeopardy,
Jeopardy.
guys.
Yeah,
No,
it's not.
I mean, if you're trying to compare a show to Jeopardy, like there
nothing isn't
really
one.
meets it. Like, no, not dead on.
No, unfortunately not.
And that's what caused its lasting power. Like, you could literally, it was the easiest show to actually understand and still challenge your mind because the actual content of the show. Like, it was a simple game show. Like, but just totally interesting. And that's how it that's how it lasted decades, yo. I never even thought of him being old. That's weird. Like,
he looks the same. Like you didn't.
Yeah, man.
He just
I
looks.
it just when I saw he passed, I was like, wait, how old is Alice? It's just
he's been fighting.
Always here.
Yeah,
like,
he's been fighting pancreatic
been
cancer for a while. I heard about it the first time, I think last year, on some ABC show. They talked about it, and they showed him that he's like a home builder. He's one of the guys that just builds. He's like a hardware guy. He's like what Chris is trying to do right now at home. And he's successful at it. And he looks young even then in that clip. But again, he was talking about the fact that he was battling pancreatic cancer, and he was like, "I got 2 more years in my contract. I refuse to let this beat me," you know, which was last year. So,
yeah, unfortunately, as always, fuck cancer.
Fuck cancer, man.
For real.
All right, thanks, Alex Trebek. You were a good one. Now, I wonder if they'll get somebody like who can they possibly?
I want them to end the show.
Just end the show.
No, I'm just playing.
Someone said Geordie LaForge.
Who is that?
Said that.
LeVar Burton.
LeVar Burton.
Like
Reading
that?
Rainbow.
Some nerd said that, and that nerd they shouldn't even be allowed to watch Jeopardy.
Well, they said LeVar Burton. To be honest, I forgot his name, so I said Geordie LaForge.
No, he doesn't have the same appeal that Alex had. The suave, the ability to like.
I get where they're going with that, but he's not like, yeah. I wouldn't even say it's suave. Is it a suave? Like,
no, because sometimes if somebody says something really funny, he would be able to improvise and do like a little bit about that person.
Yeah, he always
being a straight nerd, you can't do that.
Or if they say something stupid, he'll call them out on it.
He always had a good line.
Remember that guy who said for a tool that you can use in a garden, but also could be something about the pleasure of a lover. The guy said a hoe. He goes, "Where's your mind at?" The answer is the correct answer is what is a rake? A rake. And he looked at it like a rake. LeVar Burton can do that.
Actually, who might be able to pull off a good host for Jeopardy? Every white person's favorite black guy,
Wayne Brady.
Wayne Brady.
As soon as you said that, I knew exactly who you meant.
Wayne Brady. Every white grandma's favorite black guy.
Wayne Brady.
Okay. He has probably my favorite Chappelle Show skit. Just because it is so against it. He is right.
Wayne Brady.
Like the whole type.
Choke a bitch.
Black actors in Hollywood. We got to stand together, man. We got to stand together. Wayne Brady got a choke.
That and the race draft were
Speaking of Dave Chappelle, did you guys all watch him on SNL on Saturday?
I did.
He's definitely the comedian of this generation.
Yeah, he stepped up. He stepped up.
I get to get on there.
He's been stepping up. Like he's been he's.
I can't say when I'm saying that he stepped up now is because he's more consistent now. There was a while that he was missing. There was for like at least 2 years no one heard he was somewhere in Africa.
Yeah,
that's when he changed though. That's when the change happened. Like
started getting brolic, started lifting weights. Diesel.
He turned down a $50 million contract. He ran out on a $50 million contract. Wow. That was the change.
That was the change.
That was the change.
Literal change.
Yeah.
Literal.
He stood on his principles instead of money.
Yeah.
Well, he saw himself how the system, like where they were pushing him to. Like, okay, this stuff is not fun anymore. Now it sounds like you're trying to
right.
Like,
all right, okay.
Now we're not laughing together. You're laughing
at me. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, this is not
Yeah.
what I wanted.
Yeah,
I just was
he's on
so
the-
shocked. Sorry, go on, Mike.
No, I was just gonna say quickly, the Netflix show with Dave Letterman. He's on this season. Chappelle. It's a good interview.
Okay.
So
I
forget
stopped
it.
watching
that
show.
interview is
That's
awesome.
so good.
That's an awesome interview.
Mhm.
All right, put that on the list.
I will watch that. I'm
Sure
I'm
you
just
will.
like so shocked that I would watch at what he says and can get away with. Like I thought his monologue on set, like the opening monologue on Saturday Night Live was great. It's just like my jaw was dropping because I was like, I can't believe that they're allowing him to say these things on.
Yeah, he
like-
dropped the N word how many times? And I was
3
sitting there
times
like,
at least. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was it. And to me, it's funny. That was like the least of it.
No,
True.
he cracked-
That
Well,
was
I
like
guess,
the
I guess I have to go watch.
part of his.
Yeah.
his
dude, you need to watch the whole show, not just the opening monologue, which is great, by the way.
No,
You
when
gotta
he
watch
started,
the other skits that he's in.
when he started
Yeah.
talking about Pete Davidson's lips.
Lips, yeah.
I know.
Did they
I was
stuck?
like, wow.
Pete Davidson broke out of character
Yeah.
laughing. Like
That
I think
skit was really funny. They could not hold it together. Like
I
nobody
love
in
that
that
actually.
skit.
That's actually
Me
that makes
too.
me laugh even more when they can't hold
Yeah.
it together.
yeah, because behind the scenes, I watched an interview before with Bill Hader. He says sometimes they go off script on purpose to generate that kind of. Although Lorne Michaels apparently does not like when they do that.
No.
He doesn't. He wants them to be on script. But once in a while, depending who the host is, they're trying to generate more laughs by the cue cards will show something totally different than what they've been practicing, and then they start breaking out of character and laughing, which is great for us, not great for
Right.
NBC.
Because
Interesting.
their laughing generates more interaction with the audience. You feel like they're having fun. It feels more fun for you.
Yeah.
Mike has sent a directive, and I'm going to ignore him. We want to do it. We're gonna do a little bit about.
He's like, count every vote.
We're gonna count every vote.
Stop the count.
Stop the count.
We're gonna do a few minutes on the election because you guys went live. That was really great to see. I did not get a chance to congratulate Joseph Robinette Biden and Kamala Harris.
Syracuse and Howard in the house.
Right.
Yep.
On the successful election, and to thank the people of Arizona and Nevada and
Georgia, Atlanta,
Pennsylvania.
Philly, Pennsylvania.
And unfortunately, I am a Bears fan, and I promised that I would root for any of those teams if they made it to the Super Bowl. And yes, that even includes Green Bay because they voted right. So I'm going to be stuck rooting for Green Bay or something because it's going to be the year. That's going to be the freaking year. It's going to be like Green Bay versus Buffalo, and I'm going to be stuck rooting for Aaron
Whoa!
Rodgers.
What's wrong with that?
I hope
What's wrong with
not.
that? I would love that. That'd be awesome.
I also lost a $100 bet to ours Mike over here.
Uh-oh.
So I was
On
glad
what?
to lose that bet.
Make sure he pays you, Mike. Don't let him forget that.
Wait, you bet that Trump was going to win?
I did.
Yeah.
Tuesday night, I bet.
Oh, you were serious about that?
I was serious.
Apparently he
man.
was serious because his reverse curse worked.
Yeah, exactly.
So the
exactly.
one time
Those
I say
who know
thank
me
you,
out
James,
there, those who know me.
Yeah, I was feeling that on Tuesday night. I was not feeling
I
it.
know.
it was not great.
This
on
is why
Very
I'm
much
trying to be the voice of reason. Like,
You were.
Kevin's only looking at one number. You're looking at the percentages. Like, oh my God, but nobody's looking at like, oh, only 12% of these districts have reported. Only 15% of these districts have reported. Like, it was all for entertainment.
And I think it got the best of me because in my head I was going, the numbers aren't in, right? They're not counting the mail-in ballots yet, and they did this on purpose. But I just couldn't convince myself to go. Just hold.
I mean,
whether we pull right or left, the media wins regardless, and that's what we.
True.
what I
They're
didn't
really the factor that's there all the time.
what I didn't foresee, for example, you take Pennsylvania for account, right? 80% of the votes were already in, and he was up by like 100 something, 100,000 or so.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that was a
There's
big
no way
number.
20%. that's left is going to beat that number. What I didn't realize at the time was that he was going to get 80 to 90% of the remaining votes,
Yeah.
which I don't think anyone here could foresee.
Well, and also
what I was saying, that's what I said. That's what I was telling you. Like what my thoughts were when I walked into the voting booth on election day, and I realized that nobody was there. I was like, oh, there's gonna be hella votes coming in.
Yeah.
Like
well, they said
it took me less time than a regular election. I was like, oh, then that must mean that all of these votes are definitely in the mail.
Yeah.
Well, and let's say, there was a blue wave, but Republicans or Trump himself specifically did pull in extra votes. Voting across the board was through the roof.
Yeah, everybody voted this time around. People who sat out that 2016, they voted one way or another, but they voted.
What was the percentage of people that voted? Do we know?
I have
For this
not
country?
seen the final.
If you do a quick math, let's say that
70
150 million voted, both sides combined, right? Our population is like 320 million. That's close to 50%.
Trump got 70 million, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Biden's at least 74 million and counting, because he still got New York and California to finish counting
he's
those.
about to beat him by 5 million votes.
But you have to remember, there's a large portion of children that can't vote.
Yeah, they can't vote.
Oh, true.
Felons, prisons.
Wait a minute. In
children.
California, if you are a felon, you can now vote.
You were supposed to be able to
I think in New York you can't vote
Florida.
Not if you're a felon, if you're an ex-felon.
Ex-felon.
Right.
Yeah, after you.
Because if you're a felon, you're in jail.
You're in jail.
And you still can't vote.
Actually,
You still can't vote. You're in prison, but you can't vote.
That's fair.
Which they need to change, man. That's so
Like once you are paying your debt to society, you can't vote.
But that means we should be probably close to 65%, 70%.
No, it's never been that high. I think it's about 50%.
I know, but this is
Wait, they only use
a lot of
eligible
permanent
voters.
residents there.
They use eligible voters. They don't use total population.
Right.
So like as a percentage of like eligible voters, I think we were at 75%.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
80%.
But as the American population, we're probably 50%.
Yeah, you just got to take the kids out. You got to take kids out.
Yeah.
anybody under 18.
Everyone under 18.
Everyone under 18.
And permanent residents. Yep.
And still, you're looking at margins.
And if you're a Republican, they don't count anyway.
You're looking at margins of 1 or 2% in these places. Now, they're slightly larger than what Trump won with 4 years ago. So that's nice. And it's more states. It keeps everything solid. But it's amazing. It just shows how bifurcated this entire country was, because even with a huge surge, especially in population centers, it still is within that margin, that super tight margin.
Yeah. And this year, it wasn't just population centers, also the suburbs around these mega population centers.
They shifted slightly,
and
just
that's what
enough.
concerns me more than anything else, actually, to tell you the truth, is the fact that this actually had to be such a fight, and then it was close.
Yeah, it really does show who we are, really. Trump is a guy apparently that draws more people than even I expect. I was like, okay, so he got X amount last time. There's no way with how he's acted over 4 years, he's going to improve that. We just have to get another percentage or two above that. But no, we had to get in all of history,
all-time record,
most votes.
And we had to do that to beat him, and he got the second most all-time vote.
All-time, yeah. He got more than Obama.
He actually increased his actual footprint, which to me is what's crazy.
Right. The country was like, we are literally the worst in the planet at responding to a global pandemic. Literally the worst. We are in a depression, worse than the Great Depression. We are basically in the middle of a civil war, and people are like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's have 4 more years of that.
Well, here,
17 million people thought that's good.
My taxes, my 401k.
That are actually set to go back up in 2021 anyway.
But okay, so here's the issue, and it's not literally just taxes; it's literal propaganda and false news.
Yeah,
if you've been on social media, there's literally a whole movement around pretending that certain votes don't matter. They don't matter. They don't count. They're not real. They're fake. There's a whole movement around it, and like people are believing. Someone took a video of they printed out a bunch of Trump ballots. They took a video and they zoomed in on the name and then they burned it, and people are using that as evidence. Like a Democrat's gonna go, ha, look at these.
Chris, I saw on Saturday there was a video of a guy in a suitcase at one of the polling centers. I think it's Philly, and someone says, "Look, they're stealing ballots. These ballots are being removed." It was a cameraman from one of the news networks who was packing up his stuff, and he was leaving for the night. And somebody just put a spin on it and show the guy with the suitcase leaving the polling center. Look, there's the Trump ballots leaving. And I'm like, wait a minute. So people orchestrated Trump votes losing, but then all the congressional guys were winning?
Yeah,
like,
they don't
how surgical am I for frauding people by making sure the top of the ticket doesn't win, but I'm voting Republican down the ticket?
Well,
but think about how easy it would have been for Trump to actually win, though. Like, all he would have had to do was from the beginning of this Corona joint, be like, hey guys, wear a mask. Like, this thing is serious. Like, he'd be the president right now.
Yeah.
Because the economy wouldn't have. Well,
no. The economy we'd have had to shut down.
It would have dropped, but he would have been taking care of it. He would have been the guy.
He would have seemed like an effective leader. So those who were in the middle, the moderate independents, would have been like, can't really blame this guy. He did what he had to do.
Exactly.
I'm voting with him.
Exactly. Like, or at least
you lefties over here. You guys are, I don't know what the hell y'all yelling about.
Yeah, he literally had. See, that's the weird thing about him, though. He part of his appeal seems to be being the worst. Like, part of his appeal is being that. I almost said trumped up. Being that authoritarian, like weird North Korean, Russian type wannabe leader in that way.
It's what we Americans like. We watch these TV shows with these crazy characters, and unless they're affecting us directly through racial issues or anything like that, we go, nothing wrong with this guy. I like his, craziness and toughness.
I think people looked at him like this is a function of American politics. Like, people are desperate for something different. Like, that's why so many people who voted for Obama also voted for Trump. Like, people are searching for the anti-politician, which is what initially Trump looked like. He looked like I don't all of these political norms. I don't even adhere to any of these. Like, I'm going to talk about. Like, it would have been taboo to talk about John McCain POW joint. Like when he did that, I thought he lost. And when he didn't, and he actually ended up winning the primaries, I was like, oh, he's gonna win.
That was scary. All right,
that's the first time I ever seen a politician. Like, how can you openly make fun of a POW? About POW,
and the GOP has been always about country first. Country first. Remember when McCain was running? Country first.
Law and order. Country first. But soldiers in the flag. Like, that's Republican GOP.
The last thing I have to say, though, is that being his authoritarian businessman in charge shtick drives them more than all other individual little ideas of the flag or this. It really is an overarching idea of wanting one person to save everything. This guy's going to rail against the entire Democratic Party. He's going to rail against all Washington. Like, they literally put all their fanciful hopes and dreams on a single man. That's why he has flags. That's why he has, and
on the libs.
Yeah, very, very fascist. Very fascist.
Wonderful. Okay, I think we should be done with that. Thank you very much. I know we could go on for hours.
Mike is like, please don't.
Mike's like, please don't. I know.
So, all right. So we have now that we're done with that, done. For now,
Mando.
We're gonna talk about two things today.
So we're skipping Mandalorian.
That's who.
We're gonna talk about the first couple of episodes
Good night,
of
everyone.
Mandalorian. Mike, I told you were in charge, so you felt better.
That's
about
only when you
yourself.
thought the law was coming for us.
That's why I'm Mike
Wow.
Pence and you're Trump.
Wow.
I just caught that.
All right. No, just kidding. No, Mike does a lot of work here to keep us on track, but I'm gonna take us off track on purpose. So
We just don't ever listen to him. Sorry, Mike. Maybe
Yeah.
one day.
we're gonna talk about. It's only been 2 episodes, so we're only gonna have a small what we're feeling so far about Mandalorian season 2, and then we're gonna talk about the movie, The New Mutants, which we finally saw. I think all of us saw. Brooks.
You know, all of us didn't see it.
80%.
Hey, 80-20, that's a winning percentage.
It's
What I
enough
hear.
to win an election.
That's
Yep.
enough to
Oh. Shout out to Philly again.
Woohoo. All right, so let's talk about Mandalorian season 2.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Knock that shit off.
Everybody who's watching this knows Mandalorian is a Disney Plus series in the Star Wars universe starring Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian. Now, season 2 starts off, and he's trying. Basically, right up front, they tell you what the whole season is going to be about. Is that he's trying to return Baby Yoda, not the child, Baby Yoda, to his.
Whoa. Why not the child? That's his name.
Because he's Baby Yoda. Nobody calls him the child. There he is, right there.
James's Baby Yoda is scary.
Very scary.
Let's go back to Mike's.
He can hear you.
He's
And
in-
that's
Yeah,
what makes
I bet
it
he
scary.
can. Yeah.
And that's what makes it scary, James. It should be in another room.
James is gonna wake up one night and that thing's gonna be in the fridge eating all that.
The joint is just at the edge of your bed staring at you. No, get that shit the hell out of my
It's gonna
room.
be cooing.
So he's trying to get Baby Yoda to his somewhere in his species, and so that's where we're gonna go.
The
Well, they
lost
told him-
saucer is
didn't they
called a
tell him-
Jedi.
Yeah, they told him bring him find the Jedi, right?
Find a Jedi, yeah.
So really, so far, the first 2 episodes, both written by Jon Favreau, by the way. Second one was directed by Peyton Reed. You'll know him from the Ant-Man movies.
Mhm.
But they're both very pulpy, like episode 1 level pulpy television.
When you say episode 1, you mean
Episode 1, A New Hope.
okay.
To me, everything felt super pulpy, very contained. There's an overarching theme, but this is a simple story. These little stories. Now, what did you guys
Anthologies.
think?
They're like, that's a
This
good
was
point.
this was the Crate Dragon one, right?
Yeah.
The first one's a Crate Dragon one. Second one, he's helping a species bring her eggs to her husband on a different planet.
Right.
So it's what we called in the biz anthology series, where you have a main character, you have an overarching story, but each episode in the season is like isolated. It's like a siloed. So we know the formula now, right? He's got the child. He's got to get the child somewhere. He gets trapped on not trapped, but he visits a certain location, whether it's a different planet or whatever it is, and he's got to overcome an obstacle that's native to that environment. And he's got to use his wits, his gadgets, and then occasionally the child will come in to help with his powers, or some other, tertiary character will be helping him to get him to the next place. And it continues like that. It's a repeating formula until usually the penultimate episode or the finale, where everything kind of concludes. So
So in this one, we had the locals helping him
yes,
because they had a common
what's that actor from Justified who was on there?
Timothy Oliphant.
Timothy Oliphant, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just watching him on Fargo right now, season 4 with Chris Rock. Great acting. And then of course he's on a different planet, right? With the crate dragon. It's
That's
ice-like.
Tatooine.
He was on Tatooine, yeah.
That was Tatooine.
Oh,
And
you're talking about
this-
episode 1. I'm sorry.
Episode
I
one.
fast
Yeah,
forward
that
to
was-
episode 2.
And then episode 2, he
He's got to come back to Tatooine.
yeah.
No, he's got to go to.
No. He's some planet.
He's helping a lady with her baby, last of her species eggs, to go to another location. And on his way there, these X-wing fighter pilots, Easter eggs, kind of like, you know, they're questioning him. He doesn't have a certain beacon, because remember, this happens after Return of the Jedi. So I guess there's some sort of law and order that's happening, and he doesn't seem to have all of the credentials that he needs. So he crashes on this planet and again has to use his wits and challenges and obstacles to make it out.
So I think both of these episodes were fine. I didn't find anything particularly against what they've already set up or built. I didn't find the challenges especially engaging, but nothing turned me off either. It was all very on par. That's really, these are very on par. And, you know, I'm going to continue to watch it. There's nothing that turned me off.
What I like is how he figures out his challenges in each episode. You're right. It's some could say this is kind of formulaic and almost boring. I get it.
Yeah, but as a kid of the 80s, I watched a lot of 70s and 80s reruns. Like,
and that's exactly what they did. The $6 million Man, the Incredible Hulk,
Wonder Woman, Batman. Everything we watched was basically episodic. There's maybe a seasoned bad guy, but everything was episodic. You enjoyed the little small stories that they built for you.
Reminds me of 18.
Right.
Yeah. That's a better analogy. Yeah.
Whereas, like, now you sit down, there's like 10 episodes, and you have like 3 storylines and 4 characters, and you follow them through, and it's very. I mean, it's a cool. I like that storytelling technique, but episodic, it's a good pulpy differential than most of the stuff I'm watching.
You know, I listened through the interwebs and internets, and I'm hearing the biggest issue with this, for those who are not as enthralled as I am on this series, is that they're looking for more like a Star Wars movie, but broken down to 10 or 7 different, like, you know, portions of that movie. And I'm like, I don't think they ever, this show never sold itself as like Rogue One, but broken down to like 7 hours, you know. It's like, it's episodic, it's an anthology series.
Especially if you're going to come in and have different directors every episode, and it's going to be, the style is going to be so different, you know?
Well, and like I said, this is where I say it feels like episode 1. Like, the later episodes, even Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, there was differences. There was different type, the directors and everything. You could feel the difference from if you watch New Hope in a vacuum. It feels like a pulp television, like big. This is the ultimate ending of this little story kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. It's very self-contained. It could have been a one-off movie, right? If it hadn't been so popular, and you would still watch it. But this definitely feels more in that universe than in any of the other movies that have been made in the Star Wars universe that way, just style-wise.
Agreed.
So I think I'm gonna give it a B- so far.
It's funny. That's the same thing that I was giving it, because you know, the pluses and minuses, we kind of. I'm not gonna beat this to death. I think tone-wise is pretty good. CGI is very good. The Easter eggs are great. But there is some dead spots throughout these episodes that feel like just filler. Just fill. Let's get to the meat of the episode. So that's why I couldn't give anything better than a B-. But I agree with you, Chris.
Yeah, I wish there was a little bit more from the overall arcing story. You know, everything seems almost too self-contained, even though I know it's like they just inching forwards towards it. But, you know, I thought the first episode would be a lot bigger than it was.
So B+ for me, only because Baby Yoda's a killer.
Spoiler alert!
He is a mass murderer.
Serial killer, mass murder, I should say, mass murder.
That's right. Yeah, he's taken out a last of her
Well,
species.
technically, those eggs in a bowl of water, I guess you could call it a bowl of cereal, right?
A bowl of cereal life.
All right.
Or kill it.
All right. So now we're gonna talk New Mutants.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Is this not why you are here?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Knock that shit off.
Woo-hoo.
Do we have to?
I was very happy to talk about this. So, New Mutants is a 2020 action horror sci-fi movie based on the Marvel Comics New Mutants, loosely based on the Marvel Comics New Mutants. In this movie, 5 young mutants just discovering their abilities are held captive in a secret facility, fight to escape their pasts and fight to save themselves. So this was directed by Josh Boone. Josh Boone's other notable movie was Fault in Our Stars, which is a little teen romancy, which was a surprise for me.
Yeah, name's familiar. I didn't know.
Bug down here. So the cast on this was actually surprisingly big names, even for a younger cast. They've all been in pretty big name stuff. So we got Maisie Williams, Anya Taylor-Joy, Charlie Heaton, Alice Braga, Blue Hunt. I had not seen.
The only guy I didn't recognize was the Brazilian character.
Henry Zaga. So
that's who that is, Henry Zaga.
Yeah, so Henry Zaga, I'm pulling up his IMDb now. He's The Stand, Looking for Alaska, 13 Reasons Why. So 13 Reasons Why.
Ah, that's where he was. Okay, because my daughter knew every single character. So
I knew like
every
three of
single
the
one.
cast. I knew Macy and
Yeah,
Anya Taylor-Joy from Glass and Alice Braga, of course.
Yeah, they're not quite Brat Pack level famous, but they've all have
Brat Pack.
but they all have had solid popular shows that they've been in, which is you don't normally get that kind of combined cast at that age that I think are all really solid actors.
I agree. For a movie that wasn't released immediately.
Yeah, let's do a quick talk about this. It was supposed to be released beginning of last year, and it just kept getting pushed back, mostly due to the Fox sale over to Disney.
That's a big part of it, yep.
And so when the Fox universe, the Fox X-Men universe basically crumbled under its own weight of horrible movies, this kept kind of getting the shaft. And there was talk about reshoots, and then in the end, they end up not doing any reshoots.
Yeah.
Which I think was probably good for this movie. What do you guys? We've heard of movies having, background issu't and behind-the-scenes issues. I don't think it really affected anything once I sat down and watched it. I wasn't thinking about that. It wasn't on my mind at all. It didn't look like, oh man, that got cut up weird, or that needed more editing. It felt pretty self-contained, consistent as I watched it.
Yeah, I think their tone in this movie was very consistent, and I didn't see any like a Josh Whedon, Zack Snyder type of debacle, or even what was that Fantastic Four movie that came out had tons of reshoots. I didn't sense that at all. Mm-hmm. I think and we'll get to grading this at the end, but I thought this movie, as a standalone movie from the what's left of the Fox X-Men universe, was a pretty good movie when you compare it to what was it, Phoenix Dark Phoenix that came before this one, post Logan.
I'd probably put it up there with Logan and the First Class.
X-Men First Class, yeah.
Yeah.
It felt like it was a standalone movie. They didn't feel like it was chopped up because of all the issues they were having, and it probably would have done well if they released it when they did, to be honest with you. I think this would have done well, box office wise anyway. Maybe
Well,
not critically acclaimed, but
I
definitely
was mentioning, yeah, it was in the box office for a while, but sadly nobody went to the theater.
Yeah, during
but wasn't it
COVID.
after COVID? Nothing. Tenet died after COVID being in the theater, so I don't give any theater numbers to anything that was released in that area. It's not an honest assessment of the movie, to be honest.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
not at
I wasn't excited about this movie because Fox let me down with the whole mutant franchise. So, but
I would have.
it was better than I expected for sure.
I was less worried about it because it seemed so divorced from everything else. They decided to go with that slight horror, teen level group.
Chris, you know what it reminded me of? How DCFU has been failing, and then they give us something like The Joker, which is supposed to be like its own standalone type of thing, and it worked.
Yeah, I think there's something to say. Even Logan was very standalone. It worked fine. Deadpool was its own thing, and it worked. Like these $80 million, and don't do anything but reference other things. It's the only thing you can do. Do not be a part of a bigger universe. Don't worry about it. Just tell your story. And those have been some of the best movies. I mean, even Harley Quinn felt that way. Like, yes, it felt like it could be part of a bigger universe, but it wasn't worried about telling any other stories about the universe.
True that.
So, plot-wise, let's talk about the plot of this movie. It's very simple. So Rain, right over James's head. No, not Rain. I'm sorry. I got that wrong. Danny. Danny, we see her at the beginning. You saw it in the trailer. Her parents her house and her whole village and her parents get killed in some sort of event, and she wakes up in this.
He's a lone survivor from that event. Yeah.
Right. And she basically discovers that she is a mutant, and within that she discovers all of these other kids who have been in this hospital, supposedly for all doing terrible things, and their Dr. Reyes is trying to using
therapy, psychology therapy to help them contain their powers and move to the next step, next,
Only to find out that it's all a ruse, basically.
Yeah. In fact, I think they even said they thought they were being trained so they can be part of the X-Men.
Right. So that's what they kind of alluded to. It was an Xavier,
like RTC. It was like Silver Patrol of mutants.
Of the X-Men.
Of the X-Men.
Now, what did you guys think of that plot? Do you think it handled all it needed to for that plot? Do you think it walked you through the idea?
Sorry, Chris. The old CAP motto. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you think the plot worked, the storyline? Do you think you felt you got to connect with any of the characters that way? Like, did you feel it successfully got the story across?
I think the plot was weak, but I think the acting of the characters kind of hooked me. It was a lot of nonsensical stuff going on with Maisley, Game of Thrones. I keep forgetting her real name. Her character, to me, there was a lot of gookly gook about the whole Catholic thing and the curse of the witch. The Brazilian dude with money with the popped up freaking Lacoste polo shirts.
That all he did was wash dishes.
They barely got into his background, other than the fact that what happened to him and his girlfriend. Other than Danny, and then later on with what's her name, Ileana. I think her storyline, they started giving her a little more flesh, but it was too far down the story at that point. I think the actors and the characters themselves made it intriguing enough for you to get past how terrible the plot was, for me anyway, and be able to still enjoy watching what was on screen, because the actors are giving it, their best performance, and in some cases their powers look pretty cool. So you forget the fact that the plot and the story is very weak, and you're like, okay, so this dude clearly killed his parents in a mine, because they keep talking about how he's from Kentucky, and something happened when he was back in the coal mine, but then you see how his power reacts, and you start putting it together, but it's it's a terrible plot point, but you're still cool. But you still want to see how this actor he's beating himself up because he feels guilty about it. You know, I don't know how else to really describe it. The fact that the plot was trash, but the actors and their characters was good enough for me to keep me watching.
Okay, I see that.
Yeah, I just think it took a little too long. Like, I know it's an origin movie, but for me, it just took a little too long to get to the meat of it. And so we were kind of getting bored in the beginning.
Dude, it got boring, and I think you're saying it perfectly. Like, it just took too long. Like, even for her to get, like, by the time she realized that the wolf was, the bear was hers, and like that she could control it, it was like 5 minutes left to the movie.
Yeah, I know. That was weird.
That whole movie to me looked like three, like maybe 2 or 3 episodes of what should have been an actual TV series. Like that, like it's not like that. To me, was a very incomplete movie, but it had the beginnings of a very great like TV show,
like a Hulu TV show, like Runaway.
I'd watch,
a little darker.
I think that's part of the hard part about having these group dynamic movies is introducing the group in a way where you give each one enough time and effort to feel like you're understanding the characters' motivations and not just glossing over them. And it's one thing where we saw, obviously, Marvel did a good job because they built individual movies to do that. Whereas X-Men has always had this problem where you're like, okay, you're basically going to know this one person, and everybody else, you're just going to get like, they're just going to tell you what their story is. You're not going to follow them for a long time. So that's why it was like Wolverine and the X-Men for the longest time.
Because going back to what Keith was saying, I thought the Hulu Runaways does a great job at a group dynamic, but also giving you a good story with each individual character.
But yeah, that's when you have 10 hours versus having an hour and a half. That's the difference.
What was that, Keith?
Think about how long it took them to flesh it out, though.
That's true.
It took at least like 4 episodes to flesh out that, like, this was not enough movie time to actually get, like, this was one episode of this was like making a movie out of an episode of a TV show, I think. And I didn't
see that.
I like, much like how The Hobbit, they made 3 movies, like they really squeezed 3 movies out of what should have been one. Like, this was the opposite. Like, I think like they tried to squeeze too much into one joint, and really they have enough material and interest to make that a decent like 10 episode arc. Like, give me some more stuff. Like the Russian the Eastern
Ilyana.
Ilyana.
She's a rock star. Like, I definitely want to know more about her and her.
Yeah, man.
Where'd she get her power? Like, where is she going to when she jumps into that thing? Like, I want to know a lot more about her. And she was a badass. I want to know more about the main chick who had the most powerful power that just realized it at the end of the movie.
I think it suffered from James, you mentioned the Josh Trank Fantastic Four. I think that's kind of suffered in that same way. But although with the Fantastic Four movie, Fox had cut a lot of his action scenes and stuff like that. So I think this suffered from that as well. For me, it wasn't enough action towards the end there. It just kind of fell flat.
Wow. See, I guess we're in this house, we're a complete opposite, because we all really enjoy all the little bits, all the little bites were enough to keep us going and coming back. Especially, I know I texted you guys when I was watching it that Ilyana, or Anya Taylor-Joy, was a great bitch character. Like, she was a great like temporary antagonist to turn hero.
By the way, I talked about the plot. Her storyline to me, which they alluded to without, I don't know, because of the rating of this, you basically figure out that she was abused. She was probably sexually abused.
Yeah.
And she manifested her power to escape the abuse that was happening to her. And then those figures that came out from her fear, because you saw how it would look like some Eastern European guys in like club outfits that were wearing on. It like, I was talking to my daughter about this. That's exactly what we thought that she had to go through.
Trafficking or something. Like a sex traffic victim.
Yeah.
No. Well, unfortunately, so what you guys are thinking of is that she actually got her powers from going in she being kidnapped into an alternate dimension by a dark wizard or something to that extent.
No,
This is the X-Men,
no.
remember?
No. That's not what I. No.
That's not. Yeah, that's not at all what.
No, her power is manifested because of the abuse that she was going through, and she reached that point, and she used her powers to escape.
And I think it was her dad.
You guys.
That part I don't know about.
I'm sorry, but this is an X-Men story. You're thinking too real world. You have to go crazier. Her brother is Colossus from the X-Men.
Oh yeah.
In the comic books, yeah, but
Yes.
that's not what we saw in this movie adaptation.
Yes, in this.
It definitely made it look like she conjured those images herself to deal with. Like it made it look like it was like some like sexual assault.
I mean, they could have. I would have to.
But I know what you're talking about.
Director to figure out.
Yeah.
Like a Macy Williams character too. Like that was another one with the priest, right?
Yeah.
Well, yes, she.
A witch. I looked at her as being a witch because she.
Do you guys remember in the other X-Men movies what they did with the blue guy? I'm blanking right now. Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
How they called him a demon and like he was brought up religious, but because of the way he looked, that's the same with her. She was brought up religious, but because of her power, they basically called her evil. That her whole like demons can't enter churches, and she would leave the church. You notice that combination? So she was basically abused by the church, by a church official, trying to remove the demon from inside her, and I think they did a decent job of showing they all have these like really harsh mentally tough backgrounds, and I think they really. I think they did a good job of building the characters enough and building enough relationship around them to make it.
By the way, Chris, real quick, I'm looking at Wikipedia, and they're saying the film version of the character from the comics. This version was sold into child slavery. It was constantly at odds with a group of terrifying creatures called the Smile Men. She's accompanied by a purple dragon hand puppet named Lockheed, and during the climax is revealed to have the real Lockheed.
Right.
Colby Gannon portrayed the as a child.
That was cool to see.
That was cool. All
that
the
was
cool
very
stuff
cool.
happened like 10 minutes before the show.
Before the film was over.
No. When she brought out the first fight that Danny and Ilyana had, and she brought out the sword and was.
Oh yeah, that's when. It's the only time that my son got excited. He was like, "Oh, that is dope!"
Yeah.
And then he was quiet after that. He was like, oh.
I like that sword too. That was cool.
Yeah.
So
Soul
I think
sword.
She was my favorite character. I really actually kind of.
Yeah, she was my favorite too. She was getting busy too for a minute against the bear.
She had the wolf and the bear running.
Yeah, I think if they had more, but I think they did great with the budget they had. The CGI looked better than I've seen.
Yeah, you made that point when you were texting us. I agree with you.
It was a perfect level. The location being small and you're not having to worry about big city scenes and stuff like that. I think they did a great job finding where they used the budget in this movie for its size.
And to Keith's point, it would make, if this was entirely one episode, and then the beginning of the next episode is what happens after they leave the grounds, that would have been a great series. Like now they're out in the real world. They go to a diner somewhere and they're like,
now what do we do?
Well, see that you have that. There's a X-Men series on ABC, CBS. What is it? I'll have to think of it.
X-Men series. Oh, it got canceled. It was on Fox.
Yeah,
I know you're talking about.
That
yeah,
one.
it's canceled.
But I think this deserves another movie.
I would watch a sequel for sure.
I had a 20-year-old, two 19-year-olds, and a 15-year-old, and they all gave it A's or A pluses.
Of course, we'd all watch a second iteration of it, and really, that's a lot of the reason why I say that this was really more of like an episodic journey. Like they made a TV show into a movie. I can't even like and it just felt that way like from like every part of the storytelling.
I wouldn't be mad taking this movie and saying this is one of those pilot episodes.
Yes,
and then moving it.
Look forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Almost,
talking about Hulu.
You know what? It's almost as if they had originally written it for a TV series, and then
what I thought.
And somebody said, "No, let's just make it a movie."
This is what I thought. Because
Yeah.
there was no pomp and circumstance behind it coming out. Like there wasn't a whole bunch of like commercial pushes or anything like that. Like, oh, watch this new show. Like, I can't even recall seeing a trailer.
Well, I think if X-Men had been successful, if the series had, if Dark Phoenix came out to huge applause and people were begging for more X-Men, Fox would have put some money behind this. But I don't know if it started as a TV show, if not, or whatever. I think Marvel is doing a disservice if they want to bring X-Men in. This is a great little thing that's divorced from all of there was no mention of, bad Wolverine movies or any of that stuff. This is a great little thing that they could easily use. It's already there. It's built. Put it on TV. Stick the MCU logo on it. It's pre-made, man.
I agree.
And it will be high quality for TV.
Yeah, I keep saying Hulu. I'm just saying that's under the Disney Marvel wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
If they can get that,
I would bring it
because I like Runaways on Hulu.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'd bring it to Disney Plus though.
You could.
I don't know about Disney Plus because you can't do what they did in Disney Plus.
They didn't do anything. They didn't do anything in this.
It's PG-13.
The two girls kissing, that's not Disney, man.
I think New Disney is a little closer to that.
I could be wrong, but I saw that scene. I'm like, that's definitely not Disney Plus.
No, I think it would work. I'm going to agree with Keith. All right, I'm going to ask for grades. What are you going to grade the New Mutants 2020? Mike, what do you give it?
It's a C for me.
Wow. Okay. All right. Keith, do you have a grade?
I feel unfair giving it this grade, but like, I gotta give it incomplete.
What the fuck? It's not even an option.
There's no pass grade.
I'm still waiting for the votes to come in. I'm still waiting.
I love it.
Count every vote.
If this was a TV show, I can guarantee you it'd get like a B plus A for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't wrap everything up as a movie. Like, I did enjoy the production value of it, but not the actual storytelling of it. So I'm kind of like, I'm stuck really how to grade it. Like, as a movie, I'm giving it a solid D.
Wow.
All right, James.
Well, before I give you my grade, let me just let you know what my family's grade was. Serena and Eric both agreed together. They gave it a C+.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I, on the other hand, was a little higher. I gave it a B-.
Okay. Is there something that stuck out to you to keep that grade up?
2 or 3 of the main actors was very interesting watching them perform, and then I think some of the graphics. That third act, to me, it picked up tremendously. It covered some of the flaws in the first half of the movie, enough for me to feel like this was not a terrible movie. It's not mediocre. It's a little bit above mediocre. And yeah, I stand by that grade.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to grade it the highest here. I'm going with A-. I'm going with A- because I like the scope. I like how they kept it tight. I like how it didn't...
It's tight.
It didn't bleed off into the rest of the world. They gave you enough little hints, and I'm a 90s X-Men kid, so I get all of it. I understand it. I loved it. I thought the CGI they just hit all of the things they could do. Even not having money for a giant battle mutant power conclusion, they still managed to pull us off something off fun and interesting. You know, even if it wasn't the best thing I've seen, I'd say a few points off. It was a bit slow to get chugging, but I think the not being some giant enemy that would come in, it was really all self-contained. Another few points off for the DaCosta character, a Roberto character, because part of his story is that he was racially discriminated against, and so casting a white Brazilian guy as opposed to a black Brazilian guy is a very
So he's whitewashed. I did not know that.
Yeah, so that was a big part of the character at creation, and it's one thing to play around with that, you know, if that isn't an issue, but it's an issue for the character, which is why I took some points off for that. Even though he was fine, we all laughed at my house that he was just he washed dishes and nobody ate. Like that's all he did was he washed dishes. But we liked everybody. I think the Ileana character, magic character, was the best, most interesting. She really held the screen in every part she was in, and she really was the driving force for this movie. And I would love to see. I'm agreeing with Keith. I would love to see a series. All right.
Anya is a very good actress. If you haven't seen that Emma movie she did, the period piece, check it out. It's really good.
Saw her in Glass and what was the second movie with James Split? Split, right?
I keep confusing her with the tall girl from Game of Thrones.
Sophie?
Yeah.
But Sophie's a redhead.
I know. I confuse them too, though.
Oh, because no one can change their hair color in Hollywood. That doesn't happen at all.
They don't look the same, man. Stop being racist.
I was gonna say that too, Mike. You beat me to the punch. Racist.
But I was gonna say like
So what would be your grade if we threw Will Ferrell in the movie?
It depends.
Totally different movie.
If Will Ferrell was the Alice Braga character.
Brooks would love it.
If Will Ferrell played Anya Taylor-Joy, I think I would give it an A+.
And Kevin Hart played the Kentucky miner guy.
Okay, so we're changing everybody to an SNL actor.
Yes,
that would be great.
Kristen Wiig would have to play Danny.
Oh my gosh.
We got to get Bill Hader in there somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it for tonight. I know you guys wanted to talk about whatchamacallit.
Nope. Keep it that way.
Okay. Actually, I have one thing. So as we're closing out, I'm gonna give a little anime update to everybody. I know you guys are gonna yell at me. I should do this as a quick peek, but I'm just gonna say it quickly. Blood of Zeus on Netflix is terrible. You can watch it if you want. It's terrible.
It wasn't my cup of tea.
It's boring.
Is it really anime?
Yeah, well,
it's definitely computer generated, whatever. The story itself was very generic and boring. Baki, I told you guys about this before. It continues to be disgusting and weird, and I can't stop watching it.
It's a train wreck.
It is a train wreck. I'm watching it. But my honest, full-on recommendation this week for anime is go watch The Promised Neverland. The Promised Neverland on Netflix.
Okay.
It is really good. I just made it through the first season. There is only one season on there. It's interesting. It's not an action anime.
2 seasons, I guess.
It
looks good.
It's different than I've really generally watch on.
I should ask Eric.
But this was a
TVMA?
No. This is like G, maybe PG.
Some of them are,
No, this is PG. It was a recommendation given to me. It's about a couple of 12-year-olds in it, or a group of 12 and younger in an orphanage.
Eric, you ever watched The Promised Land on Netflix anime? You didn't watch it yet? Okay.
Okay. No
It's in his list.
superpowers. There are no superpowers.
No superpowers though.
Okay, that's my recommendation this week, guys. You'll have to hit me up and tell me what
Keith, man, you gotta start watching My Hero Academia, man, and Baruko and Naruto and Last Avatar.
The Last Avatar. All right.
One Punch Man.
One Punch Man. Dude, One Punch Man's the best. Right. and we are promised that we are going to create a specific area of our chat for Brooks so that she cannot miss the thing we're going to talk about. Because otherwise she's just sitting there and staring at us.
Let's ask her what did she see, and then let's talk.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, what did you see
what
this
did
week?
you watch this week?
Other than the election.
Only the election coverage.
I figured that.
Well, we had
That's
that conversation. And I give that a D minus.
Hey, Brooks, do you watch that show This Is Us on NBC?
Nope.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Actually,
I'm surprised. I am surprised.
I definitely thought that Brooks would.
I don't.
I thought you would be watching that one.
I watched a little bit of Below Deck this week. I caught up.
Oh,
My boyfriend fell asleep, so I turned the channel to Bravo. Gotta sneak it in.
Below Deck.
No, Below Deck is good. I've watched a couple of episodes, and I'm not a Star Trek fan.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I watched The Bachelor too.
It's just.
Oh, by the way,
watch.
Chris. So one of our subscribers was a huge anime fan. Was like, PSHHH. You plebe. That's excellent work. Great story.
What?
For The Promised Neverland.
It is. It's great. I liked it.
He's an anime guru.
Like I said, it was a recommendation by someone who watches a lot more than I do, so I'm just passing it along. But
Thanks.
I'm not going to give any hints. All right. Yeah, and yes, I'm an anime plebe. I don't like seek out every version, every show and take it in little by little. Little by little. There's a lot out there.
Definitely got to watch My Hero Academia, Keith.
Oh, I think I got to catch up. I thought I was caught up. Is there new episodes?
No, they're in a hiatus.
Okay, then I am caught up.
Yeah.
No, we were watching.
The last episode was when the number 2 had to do his thing against. He became number 1.
Yeah.
A big fight. Yeah, that was the last episode.
All right, guys. I think we'll call it a night. I think we had a couple of good discussions. I enjoyed
Semper
myself
vigilance.
as always. Thank you for joining me, everybody.
Hey, don't forget to follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Heroes Peak. Follow us on YouTube. Like and subscribe to our videos. Let us know what you think. And
Also, Serena said if you wanted to review any other movies on Netflix, let her know and she'll review and do another quick peek. She's waiting.
Ooh.
let her take the initiative, man.
Okay.
Just tell her find one and review it. I'll set it up.
Yeah, she can basically start her own channel.
Whoa.
Heroes Peak spin-off.
Whoa.
She'd be more popular. She'd be more popular than us.
Like,
Probably get her numbers up quicker.
As long as we get
Peak
royalties,
TikTok.
that's all I care.
That's right.
Bottom line.
All right, everybody.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you. Good night.
Night.